Football is a violent sport, which is what makes evaluating players still in high school so difficult. With how prevalent injuries are at all levels, it's tough to predict who will actually make it to the NFL. That's what makes things like the USA Today All-USA High School Football Team so intriguing. These young men were among the best of the best, but many of them never found NFL greatness. That said, the 1994 team we're covering today is a bit of a different beast. As mentioned, today we're looking back at the 1994 USA Today All-USA team and seeing what happened to all 25 players, starting with the offense. Dan Kendra, quarterback. Kendra's high school career is the stuff of legends. The 6'2" QB reportedly ran a 4.5 40 and could bench press nearly 400 pounds in high school. He scored 8 touchdowns in a single game, 4 as a passer, and 4 more running the ball. Heck, one report says he threw an interception while playing high school ball in Pennsylvania and tackled a kid who picked him off so hard that he broke his arm in 3 places. Needless to say, expectations for the young signal caller were massive when he signed with Florida State. After a redshirt season, Kendra backed up Thad Busby for 2 seasons. With the Noles consistently playing well, Kendra got quite a bit of mop-up time, racking up over 1,000 yards passing and 12 touchdowns with the second unit. In '98, Busby graduated, and fans were excited to see what Kendra could do. However, Kendra tore his ACL during the annual Garnet and Gold scrimmage, ending his season before it even started. While rehabbing, he and a friend tried to make a homemade bomb out of boredom, and one blew up on the injured star, leaving him with 28 stitches. That would color much of the press about him for the rest of his time in Tallahassee, though it was more of a one-off accident than a sign that Kendra had gone off the deep end, like some reporters at the time would have you believe. He did make it back to the team in 1999, starting at fullback for a team that went undefeated and won a national championship. Kendra signed with the Colts as an undrafted free agent the next year, but decided to leave the game behind as injuries continued to give him issues. Kendra spent some time training for the Navy SEALs, but elected to drop out. He didn't fail any training, instead, he struggled with the realities of being a SEAL in the field. As of 2024, he's working in medical sales back in Pennsylvania. Ahman Green, running back. In addition to starring on the gridiron, Green ran track and competed in powerlifting in high school. As of 2014, he still held a top 10 place in Nebraska high school history in the 100 meters. Green signed with Nebraska for college ball, joining Tommy Frazier to give the Cornhuskers a dominant backfield pairing. He rushed for 1,086 yards and 13 touchdowns as a freshman, making the freshman All-American squad and helping the team win a national title. The next year, Green missed some time with turf toe, but still ran for 917 yards and 7 TDs. In '97, he was the Cornhuskers' bell cow back, toting the rock 278 times for 1,877 yards and 14 touchdowns. Nebraska won another national title, and Green was named a second-team All-American. The Seahawks picked him in the 3rd round of the 1998 draft. Green was solid during his 2 seasons in Seattle, but struggled to get playing time behind Ricky Watters. In 2000, he was traded to Green Bay and immediately broke out, rushing for 1,175 yards and 10 TDs. He made the Pro Bowl in each of the next 3 seasons and also set the Packers' record for rushing yards in a season with 1,883 in 2003. An injury in '05 held him out of all but 5 games. Green Bay still signed the veteran back to a 1-year deal. He crossed the 1,000-yard mark once again and signed with Houston for the 2007 season. Unfortunately, Green only played in 14 games over his 2 years with the Texans. In 2009, he signed back up with the Packers and played sparingly. That said, Green became the Packers' all-time leading rusher by the end of the year. Green spent the next 2 seasons playing in the UFL and in Canada before retiring in 2001. As of 2024, Green is still living in Green Bay. He runs his own foundation, hosts a podcast, and in 2020 was coaching an esports team at Lakeland University. Shaun Alexander, running back. As a high school senior at Boone, Alexander rushed for 3,166 yards and 54 touchdowns. He considered going to Notre Dame, where his brother played drums in the marching band, but decided to head to the warm weather of Alabama for college ball. After redshirting a season, Alexander saw time as the backup behind Dennis Riddle. He ran for 589 yards and 6 TDs that year, which included a 291-yard and 4-touchdown game on the road against LSU. He struggled a bit as a sophomore before becoming the team's bell cow in '98. He rushed for 1,178 yards and 13 TDs, setting the stage for a senior season that saw him start with Heisman potential. Those hopes fell off as the season progressed and an ankle injury slowed him down, but Alexander still ran for 1,383 yards and 19 touchdowns as the Tide won an SEC title. The Seahawks picked him with the 19th pick in the 2000 draft. Like Green, Alexander backed up Waters to start his career, but he was a starter by year 2, running for 1,318 yards and 14 touchdowns. Over the next 4 years, he would never rush for less than 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns, culminating in a historic 2005 season. That year, the big back took a torch to the Seahawks record books, running for 1,880 yards and 27 touchdowns, and helping me win my fantasy football league. It made him the first back in NFL history to run for 15 or more touchdowns, including the playoffs, in 5 straight seasons. Alexander won the 2005 MVP, and Seattle went to Super Bowl XL, losing to the Steelers. Alexander was also on the cover of the 2006 edition of Madden, making him the first player to earn cover star status on both Madden and NCAA football. He signed a massive contract that season, but All-Pro guard Steve Hutchinson left for Minnesota, weakening the team's strong offensive line. Alexander struggled through much of the 2006 season with injuries. In the 10 games he did play, he ran for 896 yards and 7 touchdowns. Sadly, he never had another completely healthy season, and Alexander was out of the NFL after spending the 2008 season with Washington. Despite his struggles to end his career, Alexander ranks 17th on the all-time non-quarterback touchdown list with 112 career touchdowns. As of 2024, Alexander is running his foundation, which gives out a major award to the best freshman player in the country. He's still waiting on his Hall of Fame call, which is hopefully coming soon. DeAndre Hardeman, running back. Hardeman stayed in state to attend Texas A&M. Better known as Tiki during his time on campus, the back rushed for 1,595 yards and 30 touchdowns across 4 seasons. His best year came in '96 when he ran for 669 yards and 17 TDs. However, the Aggies mostly used a platoon of touchdown Tiki, Dante Hall, and Sir Parker during his college days. During his senior season, Hardeman had some academic eligibility issues that kept him off the team for a time. He signed with the Rams as an undrafted free agent, but was cut during the preseason. Tiki eventually went back to school to finish his degree and has been training athletes in Texas for the last 15 years. His son DeAndre Jr. is set to attend Rice as a 3-star prospect in 2025. Tim Ritter, offensive line. Ritter played college ball at Notre Dame. During his 3 years with the Irish, he spent time at tackle, guard, and even tight end, helping the team to 3 bowl games. He spent a few seasons on the Colts practice squad before a knee injury ended his career. Ritter coached for a few years at Utah and Colorado before going back to school to earn his master's degree. Since 2011, Ritter has been working as a high school administrator in Colorado. Mike Rosenthal, offensive line. Rosenthal moved to Indiana for his high school career, starring in football and basketball. The 6'7" tackle joined Notre Dame with Ritter, becoming a starter quickly into his career with the Irish. Rosenthal was named a first-team All-American in 1998 before the Giants picked him up in the 5th round of the '99 draft. While never a star, Rosenthal spent 9 years in the NFL, starting 58 of 89 games, including a solid run in the early 2000s with the Vikings, where he paved the way for a great offense in 2003 before missing a big chunk of the 2004 season. Rosenthal retired after spending 2007 with the Dolphins. He moved to Texas and opened a clothing store in Austin. In 2010, he started working at a local high school, becoming the head coach in 2011. The next year, he was named the school's athletic director. In 2022, he moved to California, where he works in the same role for a West Coast high school. Matt Stinchcomb, offensive line. The 6'6" Stinchcomb played college football at Georgia. By '97, he was a first-team All-American. In '98, he took it one step further, becoming a consensus All-American and winning the Draddy Trophy, Jacobs Blocking Trophy, and Jim Parker Trophy. The Raiders picked the big guy with the 18th pick in the 1999 draft. Unfortunately, his pro career was hampered by injuries. He missed his rookie season with a shoulder injury. The next year, he started 8 games before being knocked out with another injury. After that, he moved to the interior offensive line. His only fully healthy season came in 2004 with Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, a back injury during the next preseason required surgery, and complications from that led to blood clots and a heart condition, forcing his retirement. As of 2024, Stinchcomb is working as a college football analyst for ESPN and the SEC Network. Brandon Houston, offensive line. Houston joined Hardeman at Texas A&M. He's listed as a letter winner in 96 and 97, but never started for the Aggies. He's not listed as being on the team for the 98 season and has all but disappeared from the public eye in the decade since. Mike Flaar, offensive line. Flaar joined the Fighting Illini at Illinois for college ball. He was diagnosed with learning disabilities during his second year on campus. Sadly, he wasn't able to keep his grades up and left school in 98 due to academics. By 2008, he was working at a bank in Illinois, and as of 2024, he's risen to become a branch manager of a bank in Florida. Corey Jones, wide receiver. Jones took his talents to Penn State for college ball. After a redshirt season, Jones caught just 2 passes in 96. He missed the 97 season with academic issues, but improved in 98 to catch 27 passes for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, his production fell off in 99, and he missed several games. Jones did join the Bills for training camp in 2000, but didn't make the team and has gone on to live a normal life. Randy Moss, wide receiver. Moss excelled at nearly everything in high school, playing football, basketball, track, and baseball. He even joined DuPont's debate team. On the gridiron, Moss played wide receiver and safety, returned kicks and punts, and even handled his own team's kickoff and punting duties. On the hardwood, the 6'4" star was a 2-time West Virginia Player of the Year as a teammate of future NBA player Jason Williams. Moss wanted to go to Notre Dame, but an incident during the spring of his senior season led to him pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts, and the Irish denied his enrollment. If you want to learn more about what happened, I suggest the ESPN doc Rand University, where they have much more time to get into the specifics than I do here. Moss would instead sign to play under Bobby Bowden at Florida State. He redshirted the 95 season because the NCAA considered him a transfer student. Unfortunately, Moss tested positive for marijuana ahead of the 96 season, violating his probation from the high school arrest and causing his dismissal from Florida State. Moss transferred to Marshall, a Division I AA school, which meant he didn't lose any more eligibility. He was an instant star, catching 78 passes for 1,709 yards and 28 touchdowns. He also decided to run track that season. Despite not racing competitively for 4 years, Moss ran a blistering 21:15 in the 200, just 0.02 seconds short of the then conference record. In 97, Marshall joined Division 1A, and he continued to dominate, grabbing 96 balls for 1,820 yards and 27 total touchdowns. Moss won the Biletnikoff Award and finished 4th in Heisman voting. He decided to jump to the draft and skip the combine, instead focusing on Marshall's pro day. He ran a 4.24 and 4.28 40 and showed off a 47-inch vertical. Scouts at the time called his performance jaw-dropping. Many thought the Cowboys would take him as early as the 8th pick in the 98 draft, but he fell to the Vikings at 21 due to concerns about his legal issues at the start of his college career. Moss was electric as a rookie, catching 69 passes for 1,013 yards and 17 touchdowns to win Rookie of the Year and make the Pro Bowl and All-Pro teams. The Vikings also had one of the best offenses the league had ever seen that season, with Moss and Chris Carter destroying teams as quarterback Randall Cunningham had a career resurgence, and running back and former All-USA player Robert Smith kept teams more than honest on the ground. Notably, Moss lit up the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. He only caught 3 passes, but all 3 ended in 50-plus yard touchdowns. He also caught a 2-point conversion and drew a 50-yard DPI. Unfortunately, the season ended in heartbreak as the 15-1 Vikings lost in the NFC title game. Moss starred in Minnesota for 7 years, racking up 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 5 Pro Bowls, and 3 first-team All-Pro nods. His speed and ability to high point a ball forced defenses to adapt around him, but the team decided to trade him to the Raiders for Napoleon Harris in the 7th pick in the 2005 draft. Moss played alright during his time in Oakland, but it was obvious to most that he was unhappy there. Thankfully, the team found a trade partner in the New England Patriots before the 2007 season. Playing with Tom Brady, Moss's love of the game was back. He caught 98 passes for 1,493 yards and 23 touchdowns to break Jerry Rice's record for most touchdown catches in a season. Unfortunately, Moss was again denied a Super Bowl when the undefeated Patriots lost to the Giants. Moss had a few more productive years in New England before the team traded him to Minnesota 4 weeks into the 2010 season. However, he continually butted heads with Vikings coach Brad Childress, and the team waived him after 4 weeks. He was claimed by the Titans to end the season and retired. However, in 2012, he came out of retirement to play with the 49ers. Moss caught 28 passes for 434 yards and 2 TDs before once again losing in the Super Bowl. Moss retired for good after the season with career numbers of 982 catches, 15,292 yards, 156 touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowls, and 4 All-Pros. He quickly jumped into the broadcast game with Fox before signing with ESPN in 2016. His son Thaddeus played college ball at NC State and LSU. Moss was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2018. He's also my favorite player of all time, and despite talking about him for several minutes, we haven't even gotten to my favorite highlight, so if you'll indulge me for a second, let's just watch it and wish Randy a quick recovery from his late 2024 surgery.
Moss caught it at the 11, but now he pitches it to Williams! Touchdown!
You gotta be kidding me!
Kevin Faulk, athlete. Faulk totaled 7,612 all-purpose yards and 89 touchdowns during his Louisiana high school career. He decided to keep it local and play college ball at LSU. He was a key contributor as a running back all 4 years, totaling 4,557 yards and 46 touchdowns. Faulk added 600 yards and 4 touchdowns as a receiver. That included a famous 96 game against Houston. The Tigers were down 34-14 in the third quarter before Faulk took over, running for 246 yards and returning 4 punts for 106 yards to lead LSU to a 35-34 victory. He made the All-American team twice and finished his career as the second leading rusher in SEC history behind Herschel Walker. He's since been passed by Nick Chubb and Darren McFadden, but sits at 4th as of 2024. The Patriots selected Faulk in the second round of the '99 draft. He played his entire 13-year career in New England, winning 3 Super Bowls with the team. While never a Pro Bowl level player, the Pats used his wide-ranging skill set in creative ways throughout his career. He retired in 2011 with 7,308 all-purpose yards and 31 total touchdowns. The Patriots' Swiss Army knife would quickly get into coaching, working at the high school level from 2013 to 2017. In 2018, he joined the LSU staff. The Giants added him to their staff in 2022 as an intern. You might also remember his cousin Marshall, who played for the St. Louis Rams during the Greatest Show on Turf era and won the 2000 MVP. Chris Saylor, kicker. Saylor kicked for UCLA in college because the team allowed him to play collegiate soccer despite the seasons overlapping. However, he didn't play soccer during his freshman season, so he could get acclimated to football at this level and ultimately decided to stop playing soccer. He actually punted to start the season, but became the team's kicker and punter in '97. He was a first-team All-American that season at both positions, finishing behind Martin Gramatica for the Lou Gorzo Award. However, he picked up an injury ahead of his senior season that threw off his accuracy. After the year, Saylor signed with the 49ers for training camp. He then spent a few years playing in the Arena League. In '99, he also started hosting kicking camps, which has grown into a massive business over the last few decades. As of 2024, Chris Saylor Kicking is one of the premier kicking camps in the US, and in 2014, 13 of the 32 starting kickers in the NFL had participated in Saylor's camp. And now for the defense. Kory Minor, linebacker. Minor anchored a dominant defense at Bishop Amat Memorial alongside another player we'll get to shortly. He signed with Notre Dame for college ball. At outside linebacker, he recorded 245 tackles, 43.5 tackles for loss, and 5 interceptions over his college career. The Panthers selected the 6'1 backer in the 7th round of the '99 draft. He played in 30 career games over 3 seasons, racking up 37 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. After leaving the NFL in 2002, he started working as an owner of several Domino's pizza franchises back in California. After several years, he sold his franchises and started a training and development company called Kory Minor Industries. In 2018, he started coaching at the high school level. He left that world in 2021 and is working as an entrepreneur as of 2024. Ernie Badeaux, defensive line. Badeaux started his collegiate career at Florida. With the Gators, the lineman had several off-field issues. That included an incident early during his time when he punched another student in the back of the head outside of a bar. In '97, Badeaux left the team and transferred to Nicholls State. At the time, the player claimed it was because he didn't get to switch to offense. However, reports at the time claimed he'd been kicked off the team for on-field violence. Either way, he finished his career and degree at Nicholls State. After graduating, he started working in the oil business. He's still in that field as of 2024. Jimmy Friday, defensive line. Friday also played college ball at Notre Dame. The big guy played sparingly, but seems to have mostly focused on his degree. Friday went on to earn an MBA from Houston and enter the business world. As of 2024, he's working at Hewlett-Packard. Takeo Spikes, defensive line. Spikes went to Auburn for college. In '97, he led the Tigers with 136 tackles as they ran to the SEC championship. Unfortunately, they ran into Peyton Manning's Tennessee Volunteers. He was named a first-team All-American that season after making the second team in '96. The Bengals selected him with the 13th pick in the '98 draft. Spikes spent 5 years in Cincinnati, starting every game he was healthy for, and racking up 571 tackles, 40 tackles for loss, 14.5 sacks, and 5 interceptions. In 2003, he signed with the Bills. He made back-to-back Pro Bowls with Buffalo, making the All-Pro first team in 2004. In 2005, he tore his Achilles, missing most of the season. He came back for one more season with the Bills before signing with Philly in 2007 and joining the 49ers in 2008 for 3 seasons. Alongside Patrick Willis, TKO played well as he aged, racking up 109 tackles in 2010 at 34 years old. He spent his last 2 seasons playing well for the Chargers before retiring after the 2012 season. He has 1,423 tackles, 29 sacks, and 19 interceptions for his career. Soon after retiring, he focused on his TKO camp. He's also worked as a broadcaster, author, and podcaster, and yes, his neck is still pretty big. Jerry Wisne, defensive line. Wisne was born in Michigan, but moved to Oklahoma and played his high school football at Jenks. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but Wisne played college football at Notre Dame. However, the 6'6 monster played on the offensive side of the ball for the Irish, despite making this team on defense. In '99, the Bears selected him in the 5th round of the draft. He played in 7 games as a rookie before bopping around to several practice teams over the next several years without getting any playing time. He did play in 2 games with the Packers in 2002, but was out of the NFL after the 2003 season. He's mostly faded out of the public eye in the years since, though his daughter Ariel played college basketball at Indiana, graduating in 2023. His son Brock plays basketball at the University of North Carolina. He and his wife have 3 more kids who also play basketball at the youth level. Corey Simon, defensive line. Simon was a force on the defensive line for Bobby Bowden's Florida State Seminoles. The 2-time All-ACC player was named a consensus All-American in '99 as the Noles won a title. The Eagles then picked him with the 6th selection in the 2000 draft. He started every game he was healthy for during his 4 seasons in Philly, making the All-Rookie team and 2003 Pro Bowl. The Eagles used the franchise tag on him before the 2005 season, and he refused to sign. The 2 sides never came to a long-term deal, so Simon signed with the Colts that year. He was solid that season, but had surgery before 2006. Even though Simon missed the entire year, he was still given a ring after Indy won a Super Bowl. In 2007, he signed with the Titans, but was soon injured again and retired midway through the season. After several years mostly out of the public eye, Simon decided to get into politics. In 2022, he won a seat in the Florida State Senate, and he held that seat in the 2024 election. Brandon Short, linebacker. Short starred in football and basketball before joining Coach Paterno's Penn State squad. The 6'3" linebacker was a two-time All-Big Ten player and named a consensus All-American in '99. That year, he and teammate LeVar Arrington were the first teammates to be chosen as finalists for the Butkus Award, with the latter ultimately winning. The Giants selected Short in the 4th round of the 2000 draft. He played in New York for 5 seasons, racking up 390 tackles, 40 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions. However, his most notable moment might have been a 2002 training camp fistfight with then-rookie Jeremy Shockey after the latter refused to sing his college fight song, a long-held training camp hazing ritual in the NFL. Unrelated to that, Short signed with the Panthers in 2004, playing there for 2 seasons before rejoining the Giants in 2006 and retiring after 7 seasons in the NFL. Short spent a few years working in broadcasting while earning his MBA. In 2010, he started working with Goldman Sachs. Short continues to work in the business world as of 2024 and was elected to the Penn State Board of Trustees in 2018. Martavius Houston, linebacker. Houston joined Spikes at Auburn. With the Tigers, he was solid during his first few years, racking up 246 tackles and starting 32 of 37 games as a hard-hitting safety. However, during his senior season, he was suspended for not attending class. Houston was later kicked off the team after violating team rules. Houston eventually signed with the Toronto Argonauts, where he drew the eyes of a few NFL teams after winning Newcomer of the Year. He later signed a 2-year deal with Washington, but didn't see any game time. By 2002, he was back with the Argonauts. Houston played in the CFL through 2004, when he left the game behind and faded out of the public eye. R.W. McQuarters, defensive back. McQuarters proved to be one of the most versatile players in college sports during his time with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He caught 19 passes for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns, rushed for 73 yards and 1 score, and racked up 2,295 return yards and 1 punt return touchdown. McQuarters also totaled 6 picks over his career and even averaged 2.1 points and 1.2 assists for the Oklahoma State basketball team. The 49ers selected the do-everything player with the 28th pick in the '98 draft. In the pros, McQuarters settled as a cornerback and return specialist. Over his 11-year career, McQuarters totaled 483 tackles, 3 sacks, 14 interceptions, 4 defensive touchdowns, 3,876 total return yards, and 3 punt return touchdowns. He played for the Niners, Bears, Lions, and Giants, winning a Super Bowl in 2007 with New York. Since then, he's largely stayed out of the public eye, though he was in the news in 2011 after he was shot in the back. Fortunately, he was largely okay after the incident. His son Rylan was a walk-on at Oklahoma State in 2022 after starting his career at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. Daylon McCutcheon, defensive back. McCutcheon's father, Lawrence, was an all-pro running back with the Los Angeles Rams in the 70s. The younger McCutcheon starred with Corey Simon at Bishop Amat Memorial. He decided to attend USC for college ball. Like McQuarters, and another guy we'll get to in a second, McCutcheon did just about everything for the Trojans. The 2-time All-Pac-10 player was named a second-team All-American and Jim Thorpe finalist in '98. After picking off 10 passes during his 4-year career, the Browns picked him in the 3rd round of the '99 draft. He spent his 7-year career in Cleveland, racking up 431 tackles, 7 sacks, 12 interceptions, and 2 defensive touchdowns. He retired after the Browns released him in 2007. That year, he started coaching at his high school alma mater. He joined the Jets staff as an assistant in 2014, working there for 3 seasons. In 2018, he rejoined his high school alma mater, working there until 2021 when his son graduated. Speaking of Dyson, he was playing college ball with the Washington Huskies as of 2024. Charles Woodson, defensive back. It'd be easier to say what Woodson didn't do during his college career at Michigan. The do-everything star is one of the best players in the history of college football. He won Big Ten Freshman of the Year in '95. The next year, he was a Jim Thorpe finalist and first-team All-American. In '97, he won the Heisman Trophy, the first player who primarily played defense to win the award, and the only defensive player to do it until two-way star Travis Hunter won in 2024. Woodson also won the Walter Camp, Bronco Nagurski, Chuck Bednarik, Jim Thorpe, Jack Tatum, and Chick Haley awards. In short, it was a ridiculous season. Not only did he pick off 7 passes, Woodson also caught 11 balls for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns, returned 33 punts for 283 yards and a score, and even completed his only passing attempt for 28 yards. The Raiders picked him up with the 4th selection in the '98 draft. He quickly became one of the best defenders in the league, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year and making his first Pro Bowl. He flashed some two-way potential during his NFL career, but he made his living at defensive back. However, he started dealing with injuries in 2002. He continued to play well in spurts with Oakland through 2006 when he signed a 7-year deal with the Packers. In Green Bay, he returned to being a star. In his 3rd year with the team, he made the Pro Bowl and All-Pro rosters. In 2009, Woodson won Defensive Player of the Year after leading the league in picks with 9, 3 of which he returned for touchdowns. He had 2 more All-Pro level seasons with the Packers and won a title in 2010. Injuries held him to 7 games in 2012, and then the 37-year-old signed back up with Oakland. He continued to play well despite his age, making the Pro Bowl and 2nd-team All-Pro rosters in 2015 at 39. He retired after the season with 1,220 tackles, 20 sacks, 65 interceptions, 13 defensive touchdowns, 9 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, a DPOY, and 1 Super Bowl title. The next year, he joined ESPN. In 2018, he flipped to Fox to cover college football. He's also very big into wine. In 2021, Woodson was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Robert Stevenson, punter. Stevenson stayed in-state to play at Florida. The longtime soccer player earned the starting punter position as a true freshman. He held the spot through his junior season in '97. However, it was discovered before the season that Stevenson had Graves' disease. Sadly, that would end his promising, if somewhat inconsistent, punting career. He eventually earned his degree from Florida. As of 2007, he was living in Florida and working for the Sheriff's Department. It appears that he's still working that position as of 2024, but I'm not 100% sure. And that is the star-studded 94 class. I'll be back in a couple weeks with the 95 crew, but if you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see, please share them below in the comments.